There has never been a more important time to move in a vegan direction. Whether you're ready to start, restart, or re-energize your vegan or plant-based practice, this podcast is for you. I'm Michele Olander, life coach, vegan, ADHD matriarch, travel lover, and smoothie loather. And I know that it's the details that get in the way of your vegan journey. But I like to believe that the obstacle is always the way. So every week we meet here where I translate the tools of life coaching and Stoic philosophy. I bring you actionable tips, some laughs, interesting guests, and vegan ideas for everyone at any age. All to help you veg your best. Episode 264, Vegan Voices in Your Head, Internal Family Systems and the Plant-Based Practice. Hey, my Vedge Your besties, it's Michele. Did you listen a couple weeks ago to the wonderful Kim Giovacco from Vedge Jaunts and Journeys? That was episode 262 a couple weeks ago. I thought she was just great. I really enjoyed her. And you know, vegan travel, as she discussed, vegan travel is usually a subject a lot of you respond to, or you write in about, or you ask me my opinions on, and also that you expressed having some anxiety about traveling while vegan. And you all know, I think, if you listen here, that I am an enthusiastic traveler. And in fact, as I'm recording this episode, this week, today mostly, I'm in the process of fine-tuning a short trip to Liverpool, England, Belfast, Ireland. Yeah, I want to see the Titanic Museum, and then on for a night in Dundalk, Ireland before bouncing back home. And you know, when Kim was talking about vegan trip planning in her episode, number 262, she reminded us just how much detail goes into it. And let me tell you, I am not immune from those thoughts that creep in sometimes into my head because, I think, well, if it were just me, okay. If it were just me, I tend to think I wouldn't worry so much about it. But I travel almost always happily with my husband, and he's my partner of over 40 years, and he's not that interested in going to all the effort and expense of a trip just to eat badly or to skip meals or eat a granola bar in the park if there's nothing in the restaurant. So I spend a lot of time trying to make sure that we have at least a decent plan going into it. And I sometimes think, yikes, this would all be so much easier if I weren't vegan. And you know, sometimes when I think that, I think, oh my gosh, do you think anyone would listen to me on the podcast if they know that's how I thought? But it's true. It would probably feel easier if I weren't vegan. And I think it's a good subject for today because having conflicted thoughts about things doesn't mean I've failed, doesn't mean you've failed. So I wanted to talk about that today. In this context here on the pod, we tend to talk about how to create a plant-based or a vegan practice, but we all have mixed feelings about even the things and people we love most and are most committed to. And I just wanted to stick up for mixed feelings because having mixed feelings actually means you have a brain. It doesn't mean anything has gone wrong. Mixed feelings, they just mean I've got different parts of me showing up with some different concerns. And, this is an issue that comes up with my clients so often. Because when you're making a big change, whether it's moving in a vegan direction or whether it's speaking up for yourself in social situations which you haven't done previously, or maybe you're embarking on a new venture or partnership or goal and you have to discuss the subject that you've never really discussed before, it's completely normal to feel conflicted. It's totally normal. You may have a part of you saying, I want to do what's right for the animals and the planet. And then at the same time, another part whispers, yeah, but I just don't want to make my life so much harder. Or I just don't like drawing all this attention to myself. And maybe there's another part at the same time that's piping up, oh, you're not going to rock the boat at the family dinner table, are you? Oy. Or, why are you traveling? Why are you going to all this effort to go somewhere different and not do things the way the locals do? And I think that, internal family systems, it's a method of looking at decisions and how we function in the world. And there's an approach that can really help, because in internal family systems, sometimes they call it IFS, they call those thoughts and opinions, those conflicting ideas, they call them parts. They're not problems. It's not only normal, it's optimal that you may have conflicting parts, conflicting ideas. These are just the different aspects of a multi-layered you. It's a good thing. Each of those voices in your head trying to help in their own way. And the good news is you don't have to fight them, and you don't have to think that, oh, I shouldn't still have these thoughts at this point in my vegan practice, or at this point in my life, or at this point in my development. You don't have to fight them. You can actually thank them and listen to them, and then summon your calm, compassionate self to decide what you want to do. So let's just talk for a minute today about these inner conflicts, because I absolutely know how heavy they can sometimes feel when we don't notice what's going on and we don't know what's going on. And sometimes when we're in the middle of a lot of mixed feelings, it can be very tempting to decide, I just need to avoid this issue, or to distract ourselves or comfort ourselves, or let someone else's opinion be the deciding factor so we don't have to experience all the conflicting parts. And as I say all the time, this is true in every area. It's not just when you're moving in a vegan direction, because how you go vegan is only and always how you do everything. But when we are deciding to move in a vegan direction, it's not just one voice inside of us making that decision, It's not just one authoritative voice. It's kind of a whole committee. And if you've ever served on a committee, you might be going, oh my God, I'm not a committee person in general. But it's like a whole committee inside your head, and that committee doesn't always agree. And if you are in a moment in a practice, something that you're working on, and it feels like you have a committee weighing in on every decision you're making day in and day out, and this especially happens in the beginning of a new undertaking, or like when you're stepping out of your plant-based comfort zone. You're plant-based at home, but not at your sister-in-law's house, or not on your vacation. So internal family systems, or IFS, it's a way of understanding that committee and recognizing that committee. And instead of thinking we only have one mind with one opinion, which sounds somehow optimal, internal family system says we have different parts, and each part is actually stepping up to do its best to help us. So you might have a part that says, I definitely do not want to contribute to animal suffering. Or a part that says, I feel lighter and stronger when I eat plants. That's a beautiful part, and it's holding your values. But another part might speak up and say, yeah, but I would just like to go to this restaurant and be with everyone and order like everyone else so I don't have to explain myself. And that part is also beautiful. It's just trying to protect you from feeling awkward or judged if you're thinking that your choices will cause you to stand apart from the others. And maybe there's another voice that says, listen, okay, I've been eating cheese, chicken, fish, and lamb for decades. What difference is it going to make? That's my tradition. I miss it. And that part is trying to keep you safe with familiarity. And another part might be saying, you've got so much going on, and you're not in your first flush of youth. Is this important right now? None of these parts is wrong. None of them are bad. They all are caring about you, and they just don't always agree on how to show that care. And if we don't recognize these conflicting ideas as parts, it can feel like we're failing, or we're inconsistent, or that we're not serious, or we're not evolving, or that we're childish. One day we're all in on our vegan journey, and the next day we're feeling so much resistance, and then this self-criticism shows up. Why can't I just stick with it? But you hear it from me all the time. The truth is, nothing has gone wrong. I feel like that's what I need to say every week, right? Nothing's gone wrong, my fellow human beings. You have a human brain. And this is exactly what it looks like when you're growing and changing and learning new things. Inner conflict is simply part of the process of behavior change. And one of the things I like about internal family systems, one of the beautiful things, is it teaches us that you don't have to shut any of those voices down. You don't have to make one win and the others lose. You can listen to all of them. You can thank them for their concerns. I know it sounds silly about thanking the voices in your head, but that is what internal family systems kind of teaches. There's yourself, your calm, compassionate center, and that can take the lead. And when self is leading, your choices will feel clearer. If you can calm down that anxiety that thinks, I shouldn't be thinking this still, or I just want that feeling to go away. If you know that it's normal that those thoughts and conflicts are there, you can just ask for what you need. You can just ask for what you need. You can just dip your toe in. You don't need to apologize. It's just to yourself. You don't need to apologize to yourself for feeling that you're not 100% sure what you want. You can just say, all right, well, I'm going to try telling the family I'm skipping turkey this year. I can sit with some cravings for old familiar foods. It's not all or nothing. That's the process of learning, because if you can just be with yourself to veg your best along the way when things feel very hard, you learn what you can do instead of avoiding what you're worried you can't do. So I'd love to give you a short practice that you could try anytime you feel pulled in two directions about your vegan journey or about anything else. But you can do this in your head while you're walking, before a meal, or even when you're sitting in front of your laptop trying to make plant-based reservations on your trip, or whether you're in the car or at a family gathering. So you just take a breath, because you notice that part of you is thinking something that seems somehow unhelpful. What is the area where you're experiencing conflict? Maybe you're saying no to something that you've always enjoyed, or maybe you're speaking up at a restaurant with a wait person who doesn't seem that responsive or helpful, or maybe you're at a family dinner with a family member who is kind of looking like they're making fun of you, or you're in a foreign country where you don't want to make waves and you want to show respect. See if you can notice the part of you that wants to move in a direction toward your vegan values. The part that does care about animals and your health and the planet and all the other many reasons most of the people who show up here every week would like to be more vegan or more plant-based. And just let that part be there. You don't need to force it. You don't need to defend it strongly. Just notice it. And then notice the part of you that's feeling some resistance. Notice the part of you that's worried what someone might think or what someone might say. Notice the part of you that would just like it to be easier, or that maybe misses something that they used to share with other people. Just notice it. Whatever it is, thank you for showing up. It's been working very hard to protect you. And with another breath, notice any of the other vegan voices or non-vegan voices in your head and imagine them all sitting like well-meaning friends that want you to grow or want you to feel safe. And they all actually care about you. They all actually care about you. And from here you can ask yourself, if my calm, compassionate self could lead in this moment, what would it say? If it weren't afraid, what would it say? And you might notice a little shift. You might feel a little more calm. You might feel some clarity or some, courage just to try something. Even if part of you thinks, oh, that's not a big enough thing to try. It's enough. It really is enough. What we want to make sure is we're not just shutting down when we have these voices in our heads. So the next time you feel conflicted, remember, nothing has gone wrong. You're not failing. You're human. You have different parts of you that have evolved over the many years that you have been learning to deal with life. All those voices are trying to help in different ways. And when you pause and you listen and you realize all those conflicting voices, that committee in your head, it's trying to take care of you. And now yourself can take the lead. So here's my challenge for you this week. I know some of you probably don't have a lot of conflicting committee thoughts in your head on the subject of being plant-based or being vegan, but maybe you do on a subject of, fitness or a health regime or a new business or going back to school for an advanced degree. You may be having this tug of war inside. And instead of shutting one side down, we just pause. And we thank all the parts. We thank them. We thank all those voices. Thank you to the committee. And then we invite our calm, compassionate self to guide the next step. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. This can be as simple as ordering a vegan option at brunch or saying no thank you, no eggs this time, or anytime you do any of those things that you want to do, you strengthen your self-leadership. And little by little, I'm looking at the whole world as an Oasis lyric right now, but little by little, your vegan journey stops feeling like an inner battle and starts feeling like alignment, like you are the chair of this committee. I want to thank you for being here with me every week, my Vedge Your Bestie. And if this episode resonates at all with you, I'd love to hear about your experiences, the committee in your head that you sometimes have to chair, the unruly voices in your head. And you can always email me. You can always tag me on Instagram or leave a review on your favorite podcast app and tell me what you're thinking. Some of the podcast apps, you can actually leave comments on the individual episode, which I really enjoy that when that happens. And I am going to be on this whirlwind trip in the UK and Ireland, but I'm going to try and post on Instagram give you some photos and catch you up. I haven't been doing a lot of Instagram posts during the summer. It was kind of a wild, for me, it was kind of a wildly exhausting summer. But I'd like to tell you more about what I learn about myself and about what we see in Liverpool, Belfast, and Ireland when I'm back on an upcoming episode. But just until next time, remember, all those voices in your head are on your side. And you just veg your best. Veg Your Best podcast production, music, and editing by Charlie Weinshank. Thanks, Charlie. Before you go, it would mean so much to me and the Veg Your Best team if you would hit subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, or share with someone you think might be interested. Something about algorithms, it helps bump us up a little in the rankings, and that's the best way to help others find the podcast and for us to find our audience. So, until next week, make it easy and veg your best.